Hi guys, in this video we're going to have a go at making Zuma from Paw Patrol, as I've had a few Paw Patrol requests and this is my favourite character. So I've dyed some modelling paste in a brown. So taking your modelling paste, I've already halved mine and put half to one side. So this remaining half I'm halving again and I'm rolling into a bit of an oval shape for the body. And I'm going to trim a little bit off that so that we've just got his bum part in brown. And then I'm rolling two balls in the brown and we're going to flatten them just a little bit so they've still got a little bit of thickness to them, and these are going to become the tops of his back legs, and we're just going to push those on either side. And then you want another two balls of brown. This time we'll make them a little bit cylinder shaped and we're just going to check they fit just in front of those legs we've added. Check they're the same size, and then we're just going to add a couple of lines to make them look like paws, and I'm just using the back of the knife for that. You can use a modelling tool if you prefer. And we've pushed those onto the legs, and so I can move it around a bit easier. I'm just going to rest it on some greaseproof paper and make sure everything's stuck down well with a bit of water or edible glue. And then for the front legs we're going to roll a bit of a sausage shape, but we're going to leave it quite thick at one end where the paw's going to be, and then the thinner end we're going to trim a bit of a diagonal. And then again, same as we did with the back feet, you're going to put lines in using the back of your knife, and just do exactly the same for the other front leg. And I'm just holding them again so I can check they're roughly the right size. Now I've dyed some orange modelling paste now for the body itself. So again, I'm going to start by rolling a little bit of an oval, and I keep holding it above what you're doing so you can check the size. So that was too big, so we'll cut some off and try again. Now I'll leave the cut edge nice and flat because it will sit nicely onto the bum. And I'm just going to dint with my fingers where I want the tops of the front legs to meet. And I'll just take a little bit off the top there so we've got a flat area to put his neck onto. And then we'll give it a good stick down with a bit of water. And before we add the front legs, we're adding a thin strip of orange all the way around his body. And I'm putting the seam to the back because we'll cover that up later on. Okay, so it's just on there like that. We're cutting a thinner strip now in a blue. I've just got a navy blue that I've used for this one. So put it in the centre of the orange strip that we've just added. And then a little bit more of orange. We're going to cut some small rectangles, and these are going to become like the belt hooks or belt loops. So these will go over the blue belt, so space them around evenly. And now we can attach the front legs to the body. So I've got a little bit more brown now that we're going to make him a little neck out of. So start with a bit of a cylinder, and I've just cut the top of his neck at a slight slant so it's lower at the front and higher at the back. I'll just add a little seam running up the front of his outfit, and I'm going to cut some thin strips again, and these are going to go around the tops of his legs for his sleeves. Just carefully push those round, and I'll just cut it when it's on in place to where I want it to end, and we'll do exactly the same with the other one. So now we've got another strip of blue, and this one's going to go around the neck for the collar. So this time we're going to have the seam at the front, so cut it to the front, because when we put his little tag on, that will hide our seam. Okay. Now I'm adding a cocktail stick through mine. It means you can't eat him, so if you prefer you could add a piece of spaghetti. It just gives him a little bit of extra support. And we're going to take a teardrop of brown to make his tail from. And I'll just put a little cut or two in there so it looks a bit more fur-like. I'm going to push that onto his bum at the back. And I've just dyed a tiny bit of yellow modelling paste that we're going to cut out to make the little logo that he has on the front of his top. Now it is small, so it is quite fiddly. So we're going to add a little bit of grey just around the very edge. And we're going to try and create a tiny, tiny little anchor for the middle. So as you can see, it's a little bit fiddly, so you might find you can't get it very neat with it being so small. Or you might find that you can get yours much neater than I can get mine. So I'll put a little bit of water in place, roll a tiny piece of grey that's just going to go over the edge of his collar onto the little dog tag, like that. And now taking some more brown, we're going to roll a big ball for the head, and we're going to work in the nose. See if you can pull out the nose a little bit, push in slightly with your fingers to give him some eye sockets. Apologies, I've only just got this in shot, so just put the knife or the modelling tool along the bottom of his mouth to create his smile. If his mouth wants to be smaller, just give it a little push together. I'm going to poke 3 little dots in either side of the nose just with a cocktail stick. A small line down from where the nose will be. I've got a really dark brown that I've rolled into a little nose, so it's slightly triangular in shape. A little bit of water on there to stick it in place. For the eyes, I've rolled out some white modelling paste and I'm just having a look at what size circle is going to be best, but I think the smaller one is going to be better than the larger one. Pop those in place again with a bit of water, and I'm just going to try and flatten the bottom edge of each eye a little bit, so I'm just moving it round slightly with my modelling tool. Define his cheeks a little bit more if you want. Back to the yellow that we'd used for the dog tag, we're rolling some tiny balls for the eyes, and then to change the colour slightly we're going to go over with a little bit of a khaki green. Try and concentrate on the very edge of that circle and a tiny black dot in the middle of each of those, like that. And then we'll see if we can go even smaller with a tiny dot of white that we're just going to push into each eye. The whites really make quite a big difference to what the eyes look like. Just going to put a little black line around the top edge of each eye. Now, this is where I think I probably should have left it without, but they're stuck on now. And we'll stick his head in place. Give it a good push on. Again, once the head's on, if you want to leave it to set for a few hours before adding his little helmet, you can do. I'm just going to create this out of the orange. So I'm just going to stretch it out and make sure it's large enough to go around his head. If it's not a perfect circle, don't worry, because we're going to trim some off. And I'm going to stick it, just using water, to the back of the head, and then we'll try and pull it around, shaping it as we go. If it hasn't had much time to set, do just be quite careful when you're pushing it around, otherwise you'll end up knocking the head off. And we'll put a little line across the top edge and down either side to change the shape of it slightly, like that. And then I've got a little bit more orange, just rolled quite thin, and we're just going to stick that piece on the front. So it's not quite a triangle, it's like a triangle with one of the points removed. A little orange strap just going under his chin. Just use the handle of your paintbrush to put in the little holes in his helmet. 3 at each side. Now for his ears, start with the teardrop that was squishing down in shape, and then just play around with it till it becomes a bit more triangular. And then you want to make 2 that match, and we're going to stick those on. I have just put a little bit of water under there. So the little Paw Patrol symbol now is going to go onto the front of his hat. So I've got a bit of navy blue modelling paste. Push that onto the front, try and shape it roughly to the emblem that they use. A little bit of water on the front and around the edges of that, and we're going to add a tiny thin strip of grey around there. Once we've got that on, just try and neaten it up a little bit, and just digging out a tiny bit on each top corner to give it a bit more shape. And then we want the paw out of a series of dots, so the big main dot is maybe a bit more oval than it is round, and then we're going to put 3 tiny dots of grey above that, like so. And you can leave him like that, or if you want you can give him his little backpack. I've got some orange left, so we'll make him one. I'm just going to make a little cube, or slightly more rectangle, and then 2 cylinders, and these are going to stick on either side of that you've made. Apologies, I didn't realise I had it almost out of shot as well. Roll thin some blue. We'll put a little bit of water on the orange cylinders where it's going to go. So I've rolled it and flattened it a little bit. Push that down at either side. Trim in the middle and just a little bit out to either side so that you've got a little bit left that you can tuck around and under. And the same on the top, we'll make it a little bit thinner this time. And then we'll stick that in place onto his back, and it'll need quite a firm push in place to keep it on. Just be careful you don't squash the rest of him while you're putting it on. There he is. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.
If you liked this video and would like to see more, please click on the images of the other videos suggested. Also, please do subscribe to my channel using the button at the bottom right hand corner of the screen. You can also visit my cake website and my Facebook page to see more cakes and ideas.